Your father's name was Shlomo. He was a rabbi. What else?
The population was about 33,000.
In your town?
Mm-hmm.
What was the name of the town?
Sringskavala.
That's a pretty big city back then, right?
Not big, not small, mediocre. It was not a big city. Was bigger than here, but it wasn't a tremendous city. If anybody asks me where I'm from, I say Lodz, because Lodz was a big city. And if you say Sringskavala, they'll say, where? So, you have to explain.
Well, what was your house like?
We lived in a landlady owned a big house, and she rented it out. And we rented 2 rooms and a kitchen, and a little foyer. And there were other tenants too. And she lived there too, because the landlord was a tailor, and he made, outfits to order. So he was always home, and he had 2 daughters, and he had a son. So they all worked together like.
Mm-hmm.
What I do remember, and I don't think you really care, is that one daughter was very, very sick at one time, and they all thought that she's finished. But I don't know, somebody made some kind of prayer and put home. They used to have them, they probably have them here too. They call them bankers. It was like, you heated it up. It was a little ball, and you had like 3, 4. And wherever you were aching, you put heat in it, and you put it in that place where it was hurting you. And this is supposed to cure it. And it did, surprisingly, And she recovered. I don't think it's important.
Well, it's interesting.
It's just, the way things were treated in Europe,
Yeah.
But life went on, regular. We have a janitor that lived upstairs from us. Very nice people. And very kind people.
What about school?
School, when the time came, we went to school.
How did you get there? Did you walk?
Sure.
So it was nearby?
No.
No, it was far? How far did you have to walk?
No, it wasn't nearby. It was actually in a beautiful, it was in park. In the park was the school.
Mm-hmm.
It was a beautiful park with a very big, not a river, but a
Brook?
you had fish there, and you had a little boat.
A lake. Oh, like a pond.
Yeah, but bigger than a pond.
Okay, lake.
And people would, go there, fish occasionally. But it was a nice place. The park was beautiful.
Well, in your school, was it like a one-room school where everybody was in the same... It was a big school.
It was a big school. We had a principal, which, well, she's not alive anymore, for sure. She was a son of a bitch. She was the worst on earth. When she walked in the room, we thought that, everybody was like dumbfounded. They were scared to death of her. She was very strict. And very mean. And she did not care if she'll hit you, but good, with something.
Well, were the kids in school all Jewish, or was the community all Jewish, or were there other non-Jewish people?
Actually, this was a Jewish school.
Mm-hmm. And what about the whole community where you lived?
There was another school where they went.
Okay.
And, well, the Jewish population wasn't as big as the Gentile because, out of 33,000, there wasn't that many Jews there.
So did the Jewish people interact with others, or did you kind of stick to yourself?
Yeah, everybody got along fine.
So you had friends that weren't Jewish? You played with kids that weren't Jewish?
Actually, I did not. I had Jewish friends which lived right across from me, very wealthy people. They had a flour mill. They were very wealthy. In fact, nobody else had a telephone but them. They were like the only ones.
Were there cars?
No cars.
Nobody had any cars.
Nobody.
And this is 1920s and 1930s.
Right.
Because there were cars here. Right?
Well, you can't compare.
No. So if you were to go to the main city, Lodge, how'd you get there?
By train.
Oh, by train. Okay.
But you had to go to the train, which is quite a walk. And you took the train and you got to where you wanted to go.
Okay.
But there was not much transportation. It was horse and buggy. In the summer, my father was, at that time, when I was growing up, he didn't feel good. He was a sick man. So we rented a room in the country, which was also far away. But you had to get there. So you hired the carriage and the wagon, and you put whatever you needed, and you went there. And you stayed there for a couple weeks until it got a little better. And then we went back home.
Who drove the carriage? Was there a driver? Or did one?
Yeah.
Where was the country? What was it called? Do you remember?
The name of it? What was the name? It's not a American name.
It was in Poland, though, right?
Sure. But all this is in Poland.
Where did you stay when you went to the country?
You rent a little, whatever.
Like a cabin?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what about your mother? Her name was Rosa? How do you say her last name?
Oh my God, Pakenträger.
Okay. Well, I don't know anything about her. What was she like?
My mother, to tell you the truth, I didn't know her parents.
Were they
I was
alive
a
when you were?
young kid.
So they died when you were young.
No, not the parents.
No?
But she had sisters. She had 4 or 5 sisters. And they lived in different places, in different towns. So they didn't see each other too much, but occasionally. Because, to travel costs money.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we had that much money that we could just go, anyway.
But where did her parents live? Her parents were still alive when you were young,
No.
right? Oh, they weren't?
No,
Okay, that's why you didn't
No.
know. Right.
no,
But did she work, or was she just a stay-at-home?
no, no. Women didn't work home.
Nobody? Okay.
They took care of the kids.
Well, how old were your parents when you were born?
My father was, when he died, he was 66, and I was 16. My mother must have been a little bit younger because, you didn't have kids at 40.
Mm-hmm.
What were your parents like? What was your mother and father like, if you were to describe them?
They were wonderful parents. They didn't tell you what to do. They didn't criticize you when you didn't. They very easygoing people. You didn't hear of any kind of shooting or killing or never, never.
And what about your sisters and brothers? What were they like?
They were nice. Well, one was married, lived in a different town. And my sister lived actually 2 houses down from us. And she had 3 kids before the war. And as you know, home, we were mostly religious. And my brother-in-law was a very religious guy. But he doesn't have a profession. So he made a living out of, I don't know how to describe it, I don't think you can see it here. It's, you made thread out of it.
Oh, a weaver.
Sort of a weaver. And from the weaver, you made bigger things, like my brother would, who lived in another city. But he had a little factory already. He had a couple of big, it's not machines, because she did everything by hand. But he worked at that, and they made sort of a living. Nothing like here.
Mm-hmm.
What did your father do for a living?
A living from helping people, mainly actually.
As a rabbi? His profession was being a rabbi?
That was his profession. But mainly he really helped people, and actually he got, the last time that I remember, he went with another couple to help a couple get together. They were fighting, they didn't get along. When he came home, he was very sick. It was a miserable day, raining, cold, and he got very sick. And he didn't last long after that. I didn't see him die because the war broke out.
Right.
But when I was already gone, he says to me, "My child, you're the youngest. You able to run? So get yourself something together and run and save your life." But she was right.
So people in the community knew that the war was coming and it was time to go.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
How long did you know this before it happened?
Not much before. Not much before.
Like a year?
No, not even a year.
So everything was fine,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you
Yeah.
started to hear about
Life
the war.
went on like, you know. And here the Germans come in.
And you were 16?
I was about 15, going on 16, yeah.
So it was 1936, 1939. And how did people hear about what was happening with the war?
Where?
I mean, how did your father know that it was time for you to go?
Well, the Germans were in already.
Oh, they
were
already in your
coming
town?
in, yeah. See, my brother, the one that survived, he was taken into the Polish army. And he wound up in Bialystok. Bialystok was sort of part of Russia. Not Russia, but White Russia. And he was there in a hospital. And he was engaged to a girl to be married. And she wanted to go too. So we went together. Well, I made the border. When they open, like for 10 minutes, they'll open the border and you can run through.
From Poland to White Russia?
Yeah. She didn't. She wasn't that fast. But she came eventually in a couple of days later. Because they open every so often, they'll open the border for 10 minutes. And we all got together. In fact, at that time, there were quite a few people already from my hometown, in that town, in White Russia, that they got together and they formed like, you know, I don't know how you call it. They got together.
Mm-hmm.
And the people there in that town were miserable people. They, where you go?